A very good morning to all of you. Welcome to today's news analysis. We are doing the Indian Express Chandigarh edition. Now coming to the front page, we have a news about appointment of the new chief of the RAW, or the Research and Analysis Wing. So Mr. Sinha has been appointed. He was from the IPS. He was appointed to the RAW. Now the thing arises as to who makes these appointments. This is something that can be taken up for the prelims. So the appointment is being done by the appointments committee of the cabinet. And this comprises of the Prime Minister, the Home Minister. So these two only. Prior to 2016, before 2016, we had the minister of the concerned department. So that used to be there, but this has been removed. So now we only have the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, who are the members of the appointments committee. So they are responsible for all the important appointments. Next, we have a Khalistan terror outfit chief has been shot dead in Canada. And a few days back, we had one more death that was in the UK. So series of deaths have taken place in the recent time of people associated with the Khalistan terror movement. Next, we have something about the health sector, not directly part of, not directly as to the syllabus. Expired medicine, no oxygen, audits flag gaps in Bihar's ambulance service. So I thought it was about ambulance and the conflict of interest that we were talking about from GS4 point of view. We'll make a video on that also separately. Okay. Now this one is about the issues with the health sector overall, with the health sector in the state of Bihar. So recent audit, more audits have been done. 12 audit reports are there, which have brought to light some shortcomings in the health sector. Now over here, obviously the health issue is very, very important, and this is part of the governance, and thereby we should expect a question from GS2. So GS2 point of view. So we should have facts about the shortcomings of the health sector and what remedial measures are required to address it. Now for this purpose, I am referring to the Health Policy 2017. I have the document with me at the moment. So not possible. So you can refer to this, right? It will be beneficial for you. So these are the important points that I have highlighted. So focusing on tertiary care services, mainstreaming potential of Ayush, having a regulatory framework, health technology, digital health technology governance, then having a legal framework for healthcare and health pathway. Now this means there was a proposal in this policy that the right to health should be made a fundamental right. Besides this, we should talk about the budgetary allocations also. So the health budget normally is 1.2% of the GDP. This is much lower as compared to other countries. So the proposal was, according to this, that it should be doubled to 2.5% of the GDP. So these are certain things that need to be done. We need regulatory framework audits so that the situations like these do not arise. So this is a comprehensive document. You must read it. It is only 28 pages. With PDF, it becomes much more easy. With you can always do Control F and everything. So you can find this. You can find this from here, National Health Policy 2017. You will click it. You will get the document. Moving on, I'll start with this first. Indigo makes aviation history, orders 500 Airbus A320 planes. So we will have Indigo plane having more of aircrafts. So this is reflective of how the aviation sector is performing, and we are seeing more and more of growth of the aviation sector. Now in this, we can think of it from the GS3 point of view, which covers the component of industry, economy, industry. And there specifically, we can look at the aviation sector. Even though we don't get much fodder point for the aviation sector, but we get the theme that of aviation. So aviation sector, what are the issues arising? What schemes are being undertaken by the government? And particularly with reference to the aviation sector, regional connectivity scheme. So for regional connectivity, what is the government doing? And for this, we have the scheme Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik, Udan. Next, PM Modi leaves for US today, focus on meeting with President Biden and closer ties in defense. Here, I would like to state on the last page, there is an explainer. There, this topic has been comprehensively covered as to what are the priorities, what are the headwinds with reference to India-US relationship. So we'll do it from there. Next, as Jammu sees terror push, Hilkaka hero tip for government, win people over. Fine. Yesterday we talked about, there was a news article which said that in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, normally the militancy is seen in the area of Kashmir. Now, recently we see a shift in militancy where the more focus is on the region of Jammu. So as Jammu sees terror push. So this person that we are referring to, this person played a key role in flushing out terrorists from the Jammu region. So this was somewhere in 2000s, early 2000. Now what advice is he giving? That is to win people over. If you want to address militancy, if you want to fight them, you need human intelligence. You need the support of the common people who could better inform you about some wrong activities that are going on, solve that. So people's support is required. Now here we feel that the support of the people is diminishing over the time. And this tip itself is indicative of that. Now he says that there are three main problems. So three main problems are there. So one, he feels that there is a general anti-Muslim sentiment, and they feel that the overall ideology is to reconvert all Muslims in the Jammu region to Hindus. So therefore there is lack of support. Second, there is a Gurjar community in the Jammu region. So they are upset with the government. This is because the Pahadi community have been included into the scheduled tribes category. So this has upset the Gurjar community. So therefore lack of support. Then we have the issue of money being given by the militants, the enemies, etc., so that they support the militancy activities. So these 3 points have been highlighted. These need to be addressed by the government. Next, again, we have Prime Minister Modi leaves for US today. And this is basically telling us about some of the priorities of the government. Here we have the statement of the Foreign Secretary. So normally I feel the statements of the foreign secretaries or the bureaucrats, etc., that is much more helpful from the exam point of view. So here we get that one of the main focuses of him going is trade and investment relations. So deepening of economic ties. So that is one thing, trade and investment relations. Then we all know US is way ahead in the realm of technology and technology in telecom area, space, manufacturing, and we need that. So trade, investment, and related to that is technology. We want transfer of technology. We want technology coming to Indian enterprises. Besides this, one of the major pillars of India-US relationship today is defense cooperation. And in that, we have number of pillars, number of things within the defense framework. So one is the Defense Industrial Cooperation Roadmap. Defense Industrial Cooperation. So it implies that India would be manufacturing for defense equipments. In fact, we have been Apache and the planes, some of the planes that we have. So we are looking at manufacturing it in India. So more things should come to India. Then defense, so part of this only, defense co-production and co-development. Co-production means producing with the US, or maybe US sanctions, US outsource manufacturing to India, so that can be done. So that is co-production. Co-development means both US and India engage in the developmental phase of any military hardware, technology, etc. So that is there. So the Foreign Secretary says defense cooperation is the key pillar of India's relations with the US. Besides this, we have had number of agreements with the US, especially during the start of the Modi government, the first time. So here are some of the points. So one is we have these military agreements with the US. So one is General Security of Military Information Agreement. So this was signed, this was before 2002. Logistics Exchange and Memorandum of Agreement, LEMOA, which was signed in 2016. Then Communications Compatibility and Security Agreement, COMCASA. And next we are having is discussions on BECA, that is Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement. Right, we can go on and on this thing. I'm just giving you an outline. Besides this, we always have the COD, which is also seen as one of the frameworks of the defense or strategic cooperation between India and US. Next, we have Gandhi Peace Prize. So I'll just remove this. Yeah. So Gandhi Peace Prize to Gita Press triggers Congress BJP war of words. Now this is of course important for prelims. So we should know about Gandhi Peace Prize. By the way, Gita Press is a publication, as the name goes, and they have published a lot of holy books and made these holy books accessible to the common people. So this is the basis on which the prize has been given to the Gita Press. This is exactly what has been stated in the news article. Now coming to Gandhi Peace Prize. So the International Gandhi Peace Prize is named after Mahatma Gandhi. So there are actually two peace prizes with the name Gandhi. So one is Indira Gandhi Prize for Peace, Disarmament and Development. This was asked in the prelims already. Indira Gandhi Prize for Peace. This is Gandhi Peace Prize. This Gandhi is Mahatma Gandhi. Okay. Now we should also know the reward. So this is ₹1 crore that is given. The jury of the Gandhi Peace Prize includes the Prime Minister, the Chief Justice of India, and the opposition, the largest, the leader of the single largest opposition party. Now this Gandhi Peace Prize can be given to anybody of any nationality. It need not be Indian only, it could be anybody. In fact, the first peace prize, Gandhi Peace Prize that was given was to Julius Nyerere in 1995, who was a Tanzanian politician. So this is it on the Gandhi Peace Prize. So we have the International Yoga Day today. Moving on, some of the regional news, let me try to connect it with overall urban issues that we have. So first we have UT stops registering diesel run buses in city till September 30. So the UT of Chandigarh is actually the first this thing which has put restrictions on registration of fuel-based vehicles. So now it is for the buses. So now what will happen because of this? If diesel buses are not being registered, it will disincentivize diesel buses. Diesel buses cause pollution. Rather, we should move to electric buses. So it's a policy aimed at promoting the EV, encouraging EVs. So EVs in the public sector. And this will also push the industry to move towards EV revolution. So this is just the start. This is just in Chandigarh at the moment, but we can see this in other areas also very soon based on this model. Likewise, there is restriction on registration of two-wheelers, fuel-based two-wheelers. Fuel-based means the cars or the scooters running on two-wheelers, three-wheelers running on fuel, petrol. And from December onwards, we will have restrictions on registration of fuel-based automobile four-wheelers. So this is it. We all know the benefits of EV and everything. Okay, so just scrolling through regional news, not interested today. So highly political in nature. Not interested. So we're going scrolling. Yeah, very important. Amid ongoing heat wave, death toll mounts in Uttar Pradesh. Now this is General Studies paper 3, disaster management, heat wave. So this is with reference to UP. Okay, so this can be easily asked in the examination. Now what is a heat wave? According to the World Meteorological Organization, temperature upwards of 5 degrees Celsius above normal. So whatever is the normal temperature for a particular month, if the temperature is 5 degrees Celsius above normal, that shall be this shall be deemed as heat wave. Or otherwise, if temperature is more than 45 degrees Celsius, 45 degrees Celsius or more than that, then also it shall be deemed as heat wave. So it's not like waves are flowing or anything. No, it's just the temperature. So this is it. Now with the heat wave, obviously there will be dehydration, there will be heat strokes. It's a health concern. Lots and lots of people die because of this. Besides mortality, there is morbidity. You feel lazy, you feel tired, you feel sick. So that is morbidity. Now here you can already see there are 150 deaths. I know one particular year, I think 2017, where there was about 1500 deaths in the Andhra region. And Pakistan, Karachi region also had similar amount of deaths. That is a very, very, very big number. So 150 deaths in Balia and Deoria region in 5 days alone. The Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh is saying reduce power cuts. So if fan is working, obviously the effect of the heat will be mitigated. So reduce power cuts, provide free water. So power supply has to be there, free water supply has to be there so that the effect of the heat wave can be mitigated. And by the way, when there is a heat wave, the ponds will evaporate. So there will be scarcity of water. Naturally, it has to be there. So some mitigative measures are to be taken. Now, this is not adequate, right? If an answer is to be written, we need more points. And I feel question will be asked for 150 words. One more point here. Arrangements for protection of common livestock as well as wildlife have to be taken. So that is coming from the Chief Minister of UP. Now for this, we can visit NDMA guidelines, National Disaster Management Authority. So we can refer to their guidelines. Sometimes the question is framed as what are the suggestive measures? One is you make suggestions, the other is what are the suggested measures? That is what measures have been suggested. And the measures would be suggested by the NDMA. the Disaster Management Authority. And let's say even if you are being asked that what measures do you suggest, there again we have to write measures that have been suggested. We are no authority as such, we are no experts, so we have to rely on the viewpoints of the experts. Marks are for that only. So when you click, right, do a bit of this thing, you click this, you get here. And from here, we get guidelines for preparation of action plan and management of heat waves. And you can see number of other things also. Now with reference to heat wave, I come directly to this point, key strategies. Right? So some of the measures. So these are the main points that have to be there. So first of all, we need to have early warning system. So we should know in advance that there shall be a heat wave. And based on that, we should prepare ourselves. So we should develop interagency response plan and coordination in field. We should prepare the local preparedness should be there at the local level for health eventualities. Even if you prepare well for the heat wave, there would still be some health eventuality. So for that, suitable healthcare measures should be there. So the healthcare system capacity building should be done. Public awareness and community outreach should be there. People should be sensitized about the heat wave, the concerns, and what remedial measures, preventive measures they can take. If they are feeling the symptoms, then where should they approach? Who should they approach? All those things. Now, it cannot be alone done by the government. So for that, they need support of other stakeholders, so private, non-governmental, and civil society. And assessing the impact, feedback for review, and updating the plan. But however you have dealt with it, now you would get feedback. So then refining the plan. So these are the key strategies. If you write just this much and if you elaborate a bit, you will be able to cross 150 words quite easily. If you want to read, you can read more also. It's not a very big document. So yeah, now we are on the Manipur issue. The MLAs from the Meitei community. Who are the Meitei people? They are the people who reside in the Manipur Valley. And the dispute is with the Kuki tribe who are living in the hills. Okay. So there are a lot of news about Kukis destroying the houses of the people in the valley, the Meiteis, and likewise retaliation from here. Now we are seeing Meitei MLAs. So MLAs from the state have put up a show of strength. So collectively they have come and they want to talk with the center. And they have got a sitting with the Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, as you can see. Now they are seeking that there should be no change in territorial integrity of the state. That is the first point. And second, they are saying there should be withdrawal of tripartite suspension of operations or the SOO Pact. So first point, there should be no change in territorial integrity of the state. What does this mean? This means the state of Manipur should not be divided into two parts. Maybe a state or divided, or maybe a separate administrative division within the state for the Kukis, for the Meiteis. So that should not take place. That is one point that is very clear. So there should be no change in territorial integrity of the state that Meiteis and Kukis are fighting. And by the way, the BJP government had joined hands with the Kukis to form the government in Manipur. So this should not take place, that Kukis interest, so the division should not be there. And the SOO Pact, that is the military action against the Kukis. So there is suspension of operations against the militant organizations of the Kuki. So this suspension should go away. So they should take action against the Kuki militant groups who are unleashing violence on the Meiteis. So we have, so here I'm quoting it. We have come here, the Meitei MLAs are saying, to see how peace can be restored quickly. Further, they're talking about an allegation on the center. So allegation made that made by UKLF, saying that the UKLF helped BJP win elections. This party had made win elections, and there is a tacit agreement between the governments that there shall be a SOO pact, that is suspension of operations against the Kuki, because the UKLF has helped BJP win the elections. So this they are saying. Further, they are saying, so this allegation has been denied by the BJP, so by Defense Minister Rajnath Singh. He's saying nothing like that. That is absolutely false. Then it is saying immediate opening of the highway NH2, which is the arterial lifeline of the Imphal Valley. Now NH2, you should have a brief idea what is NH2. You should have a brief idea about all the highways, but particularly the ones that are there in the news. So National Highway number 2 is connecting the northeastern states. So it is mainly associated with northeastern states, and it is connecting these states. So I don't have the map at the moment. You can refer it later. Next, we have the guest from Vietnam, President Draupadi Murmu with Vietnam Defense Minister over here. And here the president has said that Vietnam is an important pillar of India's Act East policy. This policy alone can be asked in the GS2 paper, IR, International Relations. Okay, Vietnam is an important pillar of India's Act East policy and a key partner of the country's Indo-Pacific region. So I'll really briefly mention, see, imagine the map of Asia. So this is China over here, and Vietnam is bulging out of it somewhere here, Vietnam. And then we have India. So China and Vietnam are neighbors, and what is happening is that Chinese have been bullying Vietnam and they're claiming the sea around the Vietnam as theirs. Therefore, and Vietnam, obviously being a smaller power, does not have much heft with China. So Vietnam is looking at support from other stakeholders who can fend off against China. Here, in this context, Vietnam and India are cooperating. So Vietnam and India have defense agreements. For example, talks about giving BrahMos missile to Vietnam. Now, why would Vietnam need BrahMos missile? BrahMos can be targeted at China. So that's the main thing. Then recently, now in this particular event, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh announced that India will gift indigenously built missile corvette INS Kirpan to Vietnamese Navy. Now, why? Because obviously it will help them fend against the Chinese. So Vietnam is looking as India to rebalance the power struggle in the Indo-Pacific region. This region of sea is called as the Indo-Pacific. So they look at India as a key defense partner. Now coming back to this corvette INS Kirpan. Corvette means small ship or small frigate. So it's a small ship. Smallest ship that we have is corvette. So INS Kirpan. So that has been given to Vietnam. We can do more on this later on the Vietnam issue. Now again, very quickly, so this is about Uniform Civil Code. BJP testing waters but may not take plunge yet. Okay, so BJP's election manifesto had that they will introduce the Uniform Civil Code, and Uniform Civil Code means it's basically different people, different communities have their own personal laws. So implementation of uniform civil code would mean that everybody, be it Hindu, Muslim, whosoever, particularly Muslim actually, because other communities have common laws, but so common law shall apply for other communities as well. So that would be the benefit of uniform civil code. But from the minorities, we will see retaliation for this introduction of, there will be resistance basically. That is the better word. Now, BJP is testing waters. We are talking about it. They want to see as to how much they can talk about uniform civil code, but may not take plunge. Why? They will not actually implement it. Why? Because first of all, we have G20. We don't want to take that, we don't want others to protest, protest going on. That is one thing. Further, the situation in the Northeast, which has multiple tribal population. So bringing in the uniform civil code may upset the tribal population. It may be seen as an attack, or it can be seen as an effort to terminate religious and social practices, cultures, and traditions of minorities. Given the problem that we are seeing in Manipur, the BJP shall stay away from it. That's what this article is saying. I don't have much on the editorial thing today. So one is PM Modi's visit to Washington is a culmination of Indian clarity and pragmatism in dealing with the US. In the time being, I'm not doing it. We will have a lot more on this. RBI framework for settling defaulters establishes safeguards to protect public interest. Haven't read it, but there is one thing I would like to state. We can do this later because this thing will be there in news more. But one thing I want to say is that this is not something immediate to the exam. So we're not likely to be asked. And by the time the exam will come, mains exam, this thing will already be over. Maybe this may be replaced. So that's why not very keen on doing it. Now, here we have in the hot seat reports of Paris Pact threshold being temporarily breached should lead to greater focus on adapting to climate change. So this is something that I feel is more important. Again, we're talking about climate change, environment, and environment comes under GS3. So report of Paris Pact threshold being temporarily breached. What is this reports of Paris Pact threshold? 1.5 degrees Celsius over pre-industrial levels. Remember yesterday also we did it. So recently it has been observed. Actually, it was the World Meteorological Organization has warned that we may breach this 1.5 degrees Celsius pre-industrial level in the next 1 to 4 years. So we will breach this. And then we have the European Union's Earth Observation Arm, that is Copernicus. This is important for prelims. The Copernicus satellite is associated with which of the following space agencies? NASA, EU, or maybe French space agency. Like that question can be asked in pre. Okay, so Copernicus is saying that this temperature was already breached. It has already been breached. So this means that we need to do something about the climate change. We need to prioritize. We have to hasten the measures to address the issue of climate change. Okay. Now here, when we talk about the Paris clarification, when we talk about Paris Agreement, that is when we talk about climate of 1.5 degrees Celsius, etc. So we're talking about an average of 20-30 years, while this is only for particular moment at a particular instant. So it's not a very serious thing, but yes, we need to take corrective actions. Now, some of the paradoxes with reference to addressing of the climate issue. Now, the UN says that most countries have climate adaptation plans in place, and instruments are getting better at prioritizing disadvantaged groups. Right, so that is there. But all of this requires money, and the developing economies and the less developed economies do not have much resources. So for this, the United Nations Environment Program says that $340, $340 billion are required every year for climate adaptation. However, we are only getting $30 per billion. So, this point alone can be used for, let's say, talking about climate finance. In fact, these 3 points are for climate finance actually. So some of the issues with climate finance, rich needs to do more for the rich countries needs to do more for the addressing the issue of climate change. So climate financing is seen as responsibility of more of the developed economies. Yesterday also we talked about Green Climate Fund, Global Environment Facility, all that. Okay, so we are only getting allocation of $30 billion. Then the money that people invest, let's say all this obviously requires investments. Now, when a person makes investments, the money that is we getting is in the form of loans. That means the money has been given to you. This money has to be returned back to the investor with interest. So there is an expectation of interest. However, when we talk about interventions such as disaster mitigation, disaster warning systems, all that. So those they are not aimed at generating revenue. They do not generate revenue. So obviously they cannot get the return on their money. So there is a problem. So rather we should actually focus on government grants to raise capital rather than seeking investments, loans, etc. Okay. Then culpability of these nations for global warming is negligible, the rich countries. Now we see, for example, it is giving that Pakistan barely contributes 1% to the climate change, 1% to the greenhouse gas emissions. Greenhouse gas emissions cause climate change. However, with disasters, they were set back by $30 billion. So just the floods that took place last year, so that set behind their economy by $30 billion, and this is a very, very big amount. So the impact that less developed economies have is much more because of climate change disasters. It is much more as compared to the developed economies. So these points are there. You should take a note of this thing so that you can use it in your answer writing in future. In many contexts, these can be used. I will use it at least. So yeah, so I'm moving forward. The diaspora movement. So this is about Indo-America. So Indian American diaspora. We all know Prime Minister Modi has actively engaged with the diaspora. Diaspora means the Indians who are living in other countries. In this case, US. Now, just a clarification. This is by the national spokesperson of BJP, but we do get some important facts. And here again, from the exam point of view, GS2, of course, diaspora is emerging as a key pillar of India-US engagement. So, what if a question is asked on the role of the diaspora in India's diplomacy or India's foreign policy? So such a question can also be asked. It cannot always, it can be India-US relationship, but it can also be the specific role of diaspora. So we should be prepared for this. And this article provides us some facts regarding it. Okay. So here we have, so first it talks about the population. So we have a very small population, about 1% of the US population is Indian. It is just 45 lakhs. Right. So it's a very small share of population, but this population is affluent. This 1% of the population is contributing 6% in income tax. So fair share in providing the tax revenue to the US government. In fact, these people some of them are so well off that they are the leaders of the business world. So they may, for example, Sundar Pichai, Microsoft, Satya Nadella, all these people. So these people have lot of heft, lot of say in the economic world of US. What if, this influences their business policies? They have a say. They may be, the Congress of the US may be taking their views, or they may take decisions that may be favorable to India, or they may decide that we should have more engagement with India. So there is a soft corner. So that happens. Then, besides this, we have political representation. We have Indian diaspora in the US politics. We cannot say Indians in politics, but Indian diaspora, that is US, they are US citizens of Indian origin. So they are having representation in the House. So some of the names are mentioned: Ami Bera, Ro Khanna, Raja Krishnamurthy, Kamala Harris. So notable figures are there. So political this thing. So again, this helps India. Now, on this front, Prime Minister Modi, actually to his credit, has obviously engaged with the diaspora wherever he goes. But besides this, some other policy measures have been taken, like strengthening ties of the NRIs which are doing well through the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, that is non-resident Indian Day, then Overseas Citizen of India program, which grants benefits and privileges to overseas Indians. So there are a lot of things that have been done, and diaspora has been brought to the forefront of Indian diplomacy during the recent years. All to the credit of PM Modi. Actually, more has been done actually. It is not like diaspora was not there before, or we were not engaging with it, but now the way it has been pushed, it has been brought to the forefront. Okay, we don't actually have much over here. It's a big article, but we don't have much. So Secretary of State of the US, Blinken, has talks with Xi, the president of China. This is unprecedented actually, because we would expect US president talking with Xi. Normally that is it. So he is much junior to Xi. So talks in Beijing took place to improve ties. So 30-minute candid meeting took place. Frank talks took place. Now what talks happened, we don't know. What happened within this, we don't know. It has not been revealed. Ukraine says it retook 8 villages from Russia. Not interested. UAE, Qatar reopen embassies as ties improve after years of rift. Okay. Now not very important. We should know what is happening. Okay. These are Arab countries. These are Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar. These are all Arab countries. UAE, Qatar are neighbors. Now, Qatar, whose capital is Doha, is close to Turkey and Iran. Please get the understanding. Turkey and Iran. Iran and the Arabs do not look each other eye to eye. They have tensions. Now, 2017, what happened was, 2017, there were allegations against Qatar that they are promoting terror outfits. And when they talk about terror outfits, it means Iranian outfits which are working against the Arab interest. And therefore, the rest of the Arab group finished ties. They ended their ties with Qatar. So now we see UAE and Qatar reopen embassies as ties improve after years of rift. So there is thawing of relationship. Thaw means melting of ice. Normally it is used in the diplomatic parlance. Argentina is reeling under inflation crisis, inflation at over 100%. Argentinians want to spend money, so they go to the restaurants. That is what the article is saying. Surplus liquidity in economy section. Surplus liquidity in banking drops 43% due to advanced tax payments. Not much here. Mainly thing is obviously, see, people's money is in bank. When you have to pay taxes, you take out money from the bank. So when you take out money from the bank, the money available with you to spend comes down. So surplus liquidity in bank drops because of advance tax payments. And yesterday we heard record net direct tax payments have been taken up. So this is it. Do not revise, not important. Private equity and venture capitalist investment in India falls 44% to 3.5 billion. So this increases, this comes down. Overall, they are saying that they are positive about the Indian economy's outlook. Yesterday, we had a news which said that FII's inflows have been at record high. I don't think it was a very big number at 14,000, 1,400, I have a doubt, 14,000 crores, I think. That was the amount. Yeah. Actually, I lost all the highlights that I had made. Interesting. Finance Minister Sitharaman suggests special outreach camps in credit deficient districts. So credit deficient districts. So see, we want good credit coverage, access to finances. If somebody wants to do business or for farming activities, we want them availability of formal credit. Otherwise, the farmers, etc., will seek money from money lenders. They will get unfair terms, unfair treatment. So we want to avoid that. And eventually all this leads to farmer suicides and all those things. So this thing is about financial inclusion. So financial inclusion, that is bringing more people into the fold of the financial services. And one of the financial services is credit. So credit deficient districts means sectors where access to banks, financial services, their awareness is much lower. So she's saying more needs to be done, outreach camps, measures should be taken to bring more people into the fold of financial sector. So this will lead to financial inclusion. We'll cover financial inclusion separately in a more detailed video. We can always do that. This is about the explainer section, India-US trade and strategy. Yeah. So this is about overall outlook of the Indo-US relations. So when we talk about the Indo-US relations, normally they say that we share shared democratic values, shared cultures. But actually it's much more than this. So one of the key priorities is trade and economic engagement. And on this front, we are doing well. The trade has gone to record heights of $191 billion. The balance of trade is in favor of India. So for India, the favorable balance of trade position with the US is comforting. That means when trade takes place between India and US, India is the net gainer. When we talk about balance of trade with China, China is the net gainer, and in a big way. Then talking about investments, we see that American companies have invested around $60 billion in India, while Indians have invested back $40 billion. Then we hear about Boeing aircrafts orders. Air India announced recently the purchase of 200 Boeing aircraft. So economic engagement is doing well. In fact, so well that President Biden has called this a defining relationship, India-US as a defining relationship of 21st century. So this was about the economy part. Second, strategic underpinnings, that is strategic things. And here it's mainly focused on China. We see convergence of interest with India and US when it comes to China. We both are concerned about the rise and assertiveness of China. So there are the two governments are engaging in about 50 bilateral dialogue mechanisms at various levels. We have the Quad security dialogue. We have the Quad, of course. So that is there. Then we have very recent I2U2. I2 means India, Israel. I, that is two I's. We can write it like this also. India, Israel, two U's meaning UAE and US. So new initiative for in water, energy, transportation, space, and health sector. Now I2U2 helps us in this way. Uh, we engage with Israel, we engage with UAE. It provides us a foothold. It provides us a foothold in the Arab relations. And we can also say it is part of India's extended neighborhood policy. We'll explain that later. We can't do that. So this is not just limited to eye on China and everything, but also on critical and emerging technologies. US-India initiative on critical and emerging technologies, where they both will work together. And one of the priorities is to make the semiconductor supply chain more resilient. Now, this is again centered on China because China has a lot of control over the semiconductor sector, particularly the raw materials. So US and other countries also, even European Union, they want to diversify and move away from dependence on China. And India at the same time wants to be the manufacturer of electronics. This includes the chip making also. Then the US has recently started this initiative, is pursuing Chip 4 Alliance. Chip, CHIP, four countries alliance initiative, which includes Taiwan, Japan, South Korea. In September 2021, India, Japan, Australia had announced plans to establish semiconductor supply chain initiative. Then, of course, we have the defense sector. A lot of things are happening. At present, we are looking at getting license for GE engine, General Electric engine for the Tejas fighter plane, Tejas Mk2 fighter plane. Now some headwinds. Headwinds means problems between the two. In 1998 we had the nuclear test. US did not like that, and it provided significant export controls on India. So this continues to be there. So this is a sore point for India. Besides this, India has been getting some benefits from US in matters of trade. So this had been revoked during the time of President Trump. So revoking of India's trade benefits under generalized system of preferences. So US gives preferences to countries who are less developed economies. Now it said previously that India is no longer a less developed economy. Its GDP per capita income does not fit into less developed economies. So they revoked this benefit. Then we have been engaging with Russia over the Ukraine war. We have been buying crude oil from Russia. US did not want us to do that, even though it is looking at the other direction right now. But obviously, this does not bode well for India-US relationship. Then one more point. This I don't think is much of a issue. The next point is US initiated a new partnership known as Mineral Security Partnership. So Mineral Security Partnership is with rare earths, rare minerals, and again aimed at China because China has a lot of control over this. So the US wants to move out of, it wants to diversify. It doesn't want reliance on US on these minerals. So this is a US-led partnership, Mineral Security Partnership. Now we expect India to be involved in it, but we are not a part of this. So this is again a sore point. So yeah, so this is it. Next we will have nature of the diplomatic engagement. I think you should keep an eye on this thing. This is important for your exams, particularly the mains exam. India-US relationship is being asked actually. In fact, I also will take screenshots of all this so that in future we can discuss it during the time of exam. So this is it from my side. So thank you for streaming to our channel, IASPrimers. Looking forward to